Now, there is, of course, an enormous difference between the way the collective West feels about Putin and everyone else feels about the West, everyone else feels about Russia, feels about the war. I mean, India is a strong member of the Quad, partner in many ways of the West, but their relationship with Russia is virtually identical to China's relationship with Russia. South Africa's perspective is very aligned. Brazil, Mexico. So, I mean, as soon as you get out of the collective West, suddenly it's not talk about war crimes. It's not talk about Ukraine has to be redressed no matter what. It's these sanctions are hurting us. We need to keep doing business with the largest country geographically in the world with all their resources, and you guys are hurting us. What do we do about that?
It's a real problem, and I think people in the White House and in the chancelleries and the Élysées and other places are spending a lot of time thinking about how do we change not only the narrative, because the narrative is important, and clearly the Russians were very good at saying everything that you're suffering as a consequence of this war, higher fuel prices, less food, and therefore higher food prices, and everything else that came from it, is because of the sanctions that the West has inflicted, as opposed to, well, wait a minute, why did these sanctions get imposed in the first place? Because you invaded another country. And I think the West sort of believing that because they had a pretty darn good vote in the UN General Assembly, 140 plus countries.
In condemning the invasion.
Condemning the invasion.
But not in supporting the sanctions.
No, but in condemning the invasion,
yeah.
They thought, well, everybody, of course, understands this is a terrible thing, and we have to do something. We're not going to war directly, so therefore we are imposing sanctions. And by the way, we will allow, of course, food and other agricultural products to be exported. We didn't think that people would see the sanctions as the problem as opposed to the invasion. And in fact, that is the reality. The reality is when you're the man or a woman on the street in Brasilia or in Johannesburg or frankly in Delhi and your fuel and food prices have gone up, you're going to say, wait a minute, where's the problem here? It must be the West, it's not Russia. And so trying to figure out a way to start talking about this in a different way is one part of it. But the second part of it is it puts pressure on finding a solution to this conflict. And it's not a surprise that at the G20 meeting in Indonesia, the intervention by the Ukrainian president was to lay out a 10-point peace plan. And there is the question, at what point does military confrontation start to compete more effectively with diplomatic engagement and in terms of how to talk about this war? We're not quite there yet. There's a pending Ukrainian offensive.
But it feels closer, doesn't it?
It does feel closer.
Yeah.
I think people know that the war is starting to hurt the image, but more importantly, that there isn't a lot of juice left in the war, in the sense that there is enough material and enough manpower to continue with the high intensity that we currently have. Lower intensity, probably for months, if not years, possibly even decades. After all, this war at a low intensity point has started in 2014. Right. It's been going on for almost 9 years. But at that point, you start thinking about, well, is there a way that we can start talking about it? Today, no, can't say that.